Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, live show number 316. I am your host, and probably a bit of a transitional conversation today for this week's episode, as it is kind of closing a chapter in how the show's been running. We are now going into our 8th year of the weekly show, and we have had some amazing times over the course of 8 years, and we have been witnessing testament to a lot of things over the course of the years. We've had the highs and the lows, the uncertainties, and of course, our most recent tragedies with the pandemic. And for that reason, a lot of the format that we have been doing, the open dialogue, we had a series of about 20-ish co-hosts that we perennially asked to join us each Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. And through the course of the 20, we would get sometimes 10 plus, and sometimes we only had one other. And then in days like this, it's me. For that reason, we would talk about anything. It was whatever came to mind. We used Robert Cole's excellent curated list of topics from his Rock Cheetah program at bit.ly/Rock Cheetah, lowercase, no space. And it gave us a great dialogue, really, to talk about current events for that week, which was hence the name of the show, This Week in Hospitality Marketing. It allowed us to talk about current events, dive into them and talk. On the course of the 7 years, our average time per show was 2 hours, which was fun. For those that were with me regularly on the show, it was a matter of persistent and consistent therapy, at least once a week, especially during the recent year and a half that we've had, year and a half plus, actually, of isolation. It gave me a chance to dialogue with brilliant people that were incredibly knowledgeable about their skills and craft within the industry, and allowed me to basically feel like I wasn't sitting in an office alone, or sitting at home alone, or not talking to people that I couldn't bounce ideas off of, or listen to other opinions about things that really mattered that I didn't understand from my limited perspective. And also, hopefully, to have shared my perspective with them and opened up their ideas a little broader than what they may have come to the show for. It was great for us. It was great for the audience in many, many ways. We're in 39 countries, over 25,000 people a week listen to or watch us. We simulcast all the time. Not only did we start just doing this as a show that was able to be found, but we then simulcasted on platforms such as Facebook. We're on multiple pages in Facebook. Twitter, multiple pages on Twitter, or Facebook, Twitter accounts. We're on LinkedIn. We're allowed to have a chance to be able to be everywhere in that sense. We've also been on YouTube and many channels and so forth. And for that reason, we've been able to get a wonderful engaged audience. We had people that would reach out to us from many countries around the world that we had really scratched our head as to how is it that they would be at 3:00 in the morning listening to a US-based live show talking about a very niched conversation as to hospitality marketing, but they were there. And to all of them, we thank you so very much for having listened to, and in ways when you joined our conversations, participated and shared your perspective. We had great insights from people around the world. Sorry, I'm drinking coffee while we're doing this. As to how business was handled, the differences between just not a cultural but geographic difference in how our business was dealt with and marketed. We had some amazing co-hosts from all the industry. We had industry leaders. We had people that ran associations. We had people that run companies. We had brand people. We had ownerships. We had software services people. We've had a diversity of people that have been on the show, and we've only asked the latitude of that the first half hour they would spend time with us talking about whatever they would wish to talk about, and then linger with us and keep the conversation kind of going like around the table with friends and a hot coffee. With like-minded ideas and interests, being able to discuss and talk and share about things that you find most interesting. And for that, it has been a glorious 7 years of doing so. But we also felt with the increased exposure that we've had, and also the expansion of our ability to actually have a TV channel. For those that may not be familiar with that, that is that hospitality channel. If you have a Roku or Apple Plus TV, or Apple TV, I should say, anything Amazon, Kindle Fire Stick, whatever. Also Google Play, Google TV. You can find us. We're broadcasting live right now on those channels as well, which makes it very unique that we actually have a TV channel now that has our live show incorporated into it. We look to expand the value of the messaging that we've been doing and sharing the content that's relevant and helpful to our industry Our industry, as we all know from our conversations and maybe firsthand experience for those that are listening and watching because they're directly interested in hospitality, um, we've been battered and beaten. We've discussed many times that even prior to COVID, we were dealing with a unique labor demand shortage where the joy of working in the industry somehow got lost into the mechanics and semantics of what it meant to work in our industry. And to the bane of our own industry, we've hung on to and still hang on to a lot of things that maybe need to be let go, as into the rites of passage and earning your stripes and suffrage before success. All these things that we have in our industry that no longer really value people wanting to come to our industry. I say this from firsthand experience for those that know me personally and for those who have come to know me over the show. I've always been in hospitality. When I was an early teen, 13 years old, I was a busboy for my mother, who was one of the very few, actually, I think the first female formal wait server in the industry, which for those who are old enough to remember formal service, dining service, that was almost a bygone era of very astute, highly professional, career-driven, where I met some amazing people that taught me to do the same thing, people that were generational in their service. What I mean by that is that they were the server that did the table sides, the flambés, what was called front and back service, where the server was in the back, usually the lesser skilled or the newer person to the team, and then there was a person in the front. And between those two, there was always an immaculate service to the table. These were always in the fine dining restaurants, the places that people spent a lot of money to get a lot of service and a lot of quality food. And then I said those days have gone. But through that entire process, I've mentioned to many people before my history of things where I've owned and operated restaurants and been up through food and beverage, got into hotels via food and beverage, actually. So I've always been a foodie. And from that, went into all the different positions and roles within hospitality, except for ownership of a hotel. But every other chair I've sat in some capacity, in some form. And from that process, it's come to be a very strong empathy as to what I see firsthand as to the needs of our industry, to change its perspective of how we solicit people to join us. It was always by default that we were one of the early opportunities for people to get a job, whether it's like I was, a busboy or a server or a bartender, and go through that process and either fall in love with the industry and stay with it, or find other means once you graduated from the college that you were bartending for to be there, and then moving on and never getting back to hospitality. But there's a certain joy, heart of the servant that we talk about, that is the core to people in hospitality. The pure joy that you get from a offering of service and service well done. The ability to go over and feel good about thinking about other people's needs and finding means to have that happen as flawlessly as possible. It's an amazing feeling that it's hard to describe for most people unless they know that feeling firsthand. And I feel that our industry has lost that magic of being able to convey that to people. The joy for me when I used to be food and beverage director or banquet manager or whatever, of pulling off an amazing event that had tons of things go wrong, none of which was seen by the guest. That there's a certain joy to that. There's a certain joy to listening to what somebody wants for their event and making it happen in ways that they didn't expect. And I think the adage of over deliver and exceed expectations came from hospitality. And I feel that a lot of that has been lost. So this TV channel was inspired. My inspiration was to create it as being industry centric. The ability to focus on our industry for industry people. It isn't consumer centric, which is wonderful platforms like Food Channel and Travel Channel and places like that have, diners, drive-ins, and dives, places to go over and eat and so forth, enjoy. Those are wonderful programs, fun programs, and truly helpful to the industry. But there's nothing dedicated to the industry where we can have these kind of discussions about marketing, about softwares and services and contents and logistics and things that we need to understand better to be better at our positions within the hospitality industry. And so that's where the Hospitality TV channel is born. And for that reason, and that reason directly, we started reevaluating this show, where we were therapeutically helping ourselves by having an open-ended conversations that last on average 2 hours. We decided it was almost better to go over and say, wonder if we started putting it in context a little bit more, identified more of what we're going to talk about, identified more of who was showing up rather than just them showing up. We solicited your feedback for all those that listened and watched us as to what you would like to see different. And pretty much out of all of it, besides hairstyle changes and shirt changes and background changes, there was a consensus of we would like to know what you're going to talk about next. Our time of all has become very busy and consumable, and for that reason, it's nice to know, hey, this Friday is going to be a little hard for me to go listen to the show as much as I love it, unless it's important enough because of something I'm most interested in that they're going to talk about. We never did that before. We would simply open the show, have a few jabs, talk to each other. You felt like you were joining a friendly conversation, which is the enduring quality of what we were doing. And then from that, we began to step into topics, and you would hear us disagree or agree, bring up our points and counterpoints. And people enjoyed and thrived on that. And we don't want to lose that magic from that, but we also want to go over and expand it and make it grow a little bit more and have it more defined so that you can anticipate what it is we're going to be talking about. And also from feedback from everyone, we decided that we'd like to go over and identify who would be our lead hosts as we bring over. Now, we would announce guest hosts all the time, and it was a lot of fun to have amazing talent throughout the industry join us. But for that reason, we also were pretty laissez-faire about it. I was anyway. It was, hey, we're going to have this person on this Friday. And it was only a few days before that. So if you had to make plans to be able to watch the show, it made it more of an interesting, I don't know if I can make it or can make it. So we decided to add 2 conditions to our new, well, actually 3. One is we're going to make the show an hour long, and we've slowly progressed over this in this past month to reduce it down to about an hour. This show will actually be less than that because it's me kind of making the transitional turn of the page, so to speak. It'll be down to an hour, and from the hour, we're going to have a defined host that will be leading the show. I will either turn into just a background moderator, or if they would like me to participate in their dialogue, I'll be on there as a talking head. They'll be invited to bring in the people that they would like to go over and have on the show with them to discuss the topic that they have decided on. And from that scheduling process, it will begin to roll out and announce to everyone as to what the next show and the next show and the next show will be. You'll have a sense of what the topics will be. Now, keeping it limited to an hour, which helps our TV channel be able to coordinate its logistics of placing it into place and the live broadcasting we do from the TV channel. We also will go over and have a designated topic that we'll be able to market in advance. So you'll be able to know weeks ahead of time what the intended topics will be per show. Also, the anticipated major host of that show, who's going to be on there running that topic for the day. There will be an open solicitation for those who would like to join those hosts on screen to discuss that topic. So it's not just whom the host wants to invite, but also to whom would like to join that the host would want to have come on board with them as well. So we'll have all those variations to the show starting literally the next show. As of September, given that this was our anniversary month, we just finished our 7-year roll. We're going into our 8th now. We thought it was time to make that change. Also, too, with the ramping up of the hospitality channel and the expansion of what we're going to be doing for content on there. And again, going back to making people more familiar about what we're doing, the hospitality channel, hospitalitychannel.tv is the web version of it. It is on Roku, it is on Apple, it is on Google, it is on Amazon. It's much like Netflix. It's in the sense that there's a free side to it, which is available to anybody that just downloads the channel on there. Like you're on Roku and say, oh, look for Hospitality Channel. If there's a channel, there it is. Download it, poof. This show will always be on the free side of that. Every Friday, we will have this show, and you'll be able to watch it on your TV, 11:30 a.m. Eastern U.S. time. No conditions or issues about that. The additional content, the content that we're soliciting from places like potentially Marriott, potentially state-run CVBs, owners of restaurants, owners of hotels, software services people. And the list is quite broad, really, as to who is that's already asked to be a part of our content for the TV channel. They will be behind a wall that will be for membership. Right now, we're looking at the price of being about $4.99 a month to have access to that kind of data. Behind that wall will be learning lessons. We might have revenue management training information on it. We might have marketing information training on it. We might have analytics training on it. We might have a variety of those things. We'll always keep it fresh and added to. But we're also going to have interesting content from a variety of professionals from our organization. There's some amazingly creative ideas from the food and beverage side as to showing how literally to open up a restaurant, how to run banquets. And we're hoping by all of this, by sharing this type of content on the TV channel, it creates a rebirth of appreciation of our industry for those that are in it and for those that might want to be in it. To share and see how cool it is to pull off an amazing banquet, to see how cool it is to run a hotel, work at a hotel, be a part of hospitality. How interesting it is that some people might find mundane, oh, revenue management, it's a bunch of math and that. It also is incredibly rewarding when you have high accuracy and you understand the data in such a way that it's not a puzzle, but a picture. And it's really cool. It's fun stuff to do. And we want that to come back in front of people again, that it isn't all about the condition of running a business and black and white and bad service is bad service, because we've certainly exacerbated our current environment where people they want to travel, but they feel like they have to suffer through the process to be able to do that. And we're not in that business to be suffered through. We're in the business to provide service and provide quality to expand the value of somebody's travel, not deter from it and or certainly distract from it in any way. So that's the intent of what we're looking to do from this transition of today's show being kind of a closing of a chapter. Actually, it's not more than kind of closing. It is closing a chapter, and how the show has been running up to this point for 7 years. It's turning into, starting next show, where we will have a new announced host with us. Every week we'll have a new announced host with us, so that you'll be able to plan for being able to watch the show. And we'll also have an announced topic. So for the whole week prior to that show, starting tonight, actually, we'll start announcing what next week's show is going to be about. You'll be able to understand whether it's of interest to you, whether you find it to be of purpose. Of course, certainly, as I said, you can catch it on TV. And after we do the live shows, so people understand the logistics of this as well, it will get put into our archive of shows, which is always available at hospitalitychannel.tv. I've made a TV channel online. It's a great software, VI Cloud. I've talked about it in my podcast, which we also do. We have 5 podcasts for those that may not be knowing. We have marketing, which I do. We have revenue management with Lily Mockerman. We have Holly Zoba with sales. We have Adele with reputation management. We have Dean Schmidt with MetaSearch. And that is for some of them every week and others every 2 weeks. But that's also additional content that we're going to be expanding into our TV channel, but it's currently available at hospitalitychannel.tv in a very linear form. When you go to the website, it's pretty much straight up. It's a forever playing linear program. I actually have to program and say, I want this to run at 4 o'clock on Monday and this at 2 o'clock on Wednesday and what have you. It's a linear program. What we're doing is we're going off of our old platform of hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live, where we kept an archive of everything, transcripts, links, show notes, the show replay itself on individual posts that were then archived over the past 7 years. We're still using it for now, but we're transitioning into the hospitalitychannel.tv, where we are indexing the data. As I keep moving older archives over, we're indexing it. So if you want to look at what shows talked about revenue management, there'll be shows that'll be listed that'll be in a channel. If you want to talk about what shows Lily Mockerman was on, then it'll show the shows that Lily Mockerman was on, so that you can watch Lily Mockerman 24/7. It's amazing to think that we've recorded enough shows that you could literally watch us talk for over a month, nonstop, 24/7. So if you ever need to go to sleep, this is the place. But that web version of ourselves will always be there. Our shows will always be available to general public without having to be paid to see that. The app, which goes along with our TV channel, is actually talktravel.tv. That's a website for it, but you can go on Android and on also Apple iOS and find Hospitality Channel. Now, if you have suggestions as to content that you would like to see introduced into the TV channel, we are very much right now outlining what our content will be for the TV channel. We want it to be balanced between all the disciplines of hospitality. We don't want to just focus on food and beverage or hotel ops or revenue management or sales. We want it to be a nice balance of content. It doesn't have to be equal all the time. There's times where there's better content about categories of information than at others. But we do want to make sure that everyone is well represented and equally opportunity to represent themselves. We also want great stories. We also want great interviews. We also want great information. We want innovative ideas. We look at this as a means to distribute the information that people in the industry want to find more about. For instance, looking at the fact that we're where we are right now with the new surge, the unfortunate, sad surge, and COVID again, and there's now doubt being cast on people's attendance to what they were thinking about going to events and so forth. High-Tech's coming up. HSMI's programming with Rock and marketing is tailored to that as well. And I've talked to people that are both still going to go, and then there's others that are saying probably, possibly not, because I don't want to have that risk, because Texas and Florida are two hotspots, and this is in Texas. By all means, I encourage people that feel comfortable and practice good, safe travels to try to make it to the events, because it should be wonderful content, being that it hasn't happened in a while at the very least. But we also know that there has to be other mediums of opportunity for people to get this kind of content. That's where the TV channel came in. It's the idea of saying, okay, a company that was going to have a booth at High-Tech spent a lot of money to be there at High-Tech. Now all of a sudden is faced with the challenge of maybe the audience isn't enough to support and sustain the idea of what they're spending to be there. And they need another medium to represent themselves. That's where I think the TV channel can come in. In addition to all the other things that they're doing. Video is our new medium. It's our new language. And I wouldn't say new really, but it's the one that's getting larger use or requirements of needs. We've talked about it many times on the live show and also on the podcast. Videography is a key component to communication for us now. And it goes to even larger conversations that we've had, that marketing isn't about always selling something. Marketing is about communication that is involved with purchases as well. It's a hard thing for some business owners and people to understand that when we're talking about marketing budgets, it isn't just about what we can sell that day or sell that next day or this week. It's really about making sure that people understand what you are and what you're offering, to know whether they're in a position at some point to want it. And that's what the key element of marketing is for. So marketing is awareness. We have many examples in what we see on a daily basis. I mean, I use it all the time when we say used cars or car salesmen are on TV all the time. For those who aren't looking for a car, they're just white noise. It's the time you aren't watching TV and going to the restroom, grabbing something more to drink and eat or something. But if you're looking to buy a car, you now pay attention to them, because you're looking to find out what they're offering for you, whether you should consider it or not. And for that reason, that's an example of what marketing is. Marketing is about communication. I know we've said many times that the old adage of it is that 50% of my marketing is working. I just don't know which 50%. Well, as much as we've gotten good at analytics and targeting and capabilities, there's still an uncertainty principle that exists in our marketing. There's certainly also a massive amount of wasted effort based on just looking at your conversions of websites. As 97% of the people on average don't go, stay, look, and buy anything from your website. And you're relying on your entire business value of that direct channel at 2, 3, 4, 5% of the total traffic that makes it to your website. Something brought them there. Was it incorrect information, bad indexing, and or whether or not it just wasn't a message that resonated with them? So these are things we've tackled over the years, and along with more than I could ever recount in a short period of time for any reason whatsoever. And we want to continue that. We want to have that kind of content continue moving forward in a way that if people are wanting to get it. And from that, we really felt that 2 hours, as beneficial as it was for us for therapy, was not beneficial for people to plan for or have the ability to consistently be able to digest every week with us. So bringing it down to an hour, we think will make a much more concise conversation. It'll make it more pointed to the topic. And it also, by identifying the topic prior to the show, it'll allow not only the audiences, yourself, to go over and choose to listen to us because they're interested in the topic, but also it allows us to be better targeted in our conversations. Part of the joy that I'll miss with the old format is here it is, and then we throw it out in the middle of all of us, kind of like throwing a raw piece of meat in front of a bunch of tigers, and we all take a turn at it to try to give our insight or perspective or opinion about it. And it was always fun to disagree, and it still will always be fun to disagree. It was fun to go over and find new ways of looking at it compared to the way that I had always used to look at it, perhaps. But listening to others made me think of it differently, or think of it, or attack it differently. That part, I hope, still stays in this sense, and I feel that it will based on what we're doing. We're not taking away the free flowing of the content. We're still not making this a monetization. We made the promise to ourselves when we first started this all these years ago that we weren't going to sell commercials on this. We weren't going to sell sponsorships on it. We weren't going to sell this show to make money. We did this for the benefit of the industry, which really has bred the podcasts and bred the TV channel. It's just a continuation of the story of how can we best serve our industry? How can we provide content that is helpful and useful to everyone in a way that they want to get it? And the way they want to get it, from how we best understand it, is be more concise, be contained in a period of time that's reasonable, and be more identified in what it is you're going to be talking about and who's going to be talking about it, so I can plan to make sure that I'm there to listen to it and participate in it. We'll still have open chat on the side. We'll still have dialogue on the side. We'll still have all the channels in dialogue that I'm unfortunately ignoring because I'm the only one on screen right now to be talking. Thank you. Some nice accolades. Thank you very much. Fun comments. Thank you. For that reason, we look forward to the change and the transition. I'll have to get used to it. I'll probably have to remind myself that an hour is an hour. And that's it. And we'll have to residually over the content if that's necessary, or find some means to get the content if it's still being pursued, or reestablish another show. There's growing pains with this, because if we program too far ahead and something topically comes up that is intriguing, people want more of it, but we've already pre-scheduled ourselves, what do we do then? Honestly, I don't have an answer yet. What happens if something comes up that is industry impactful, huge, but we have a scheduled program that's coming up? How do we do something about that? I would love and welcome everybody's opinions about that and their suggestions about it. I can tell you some of the things we've thought about is there are plenty of people that 11:30 a.m. Eastern was not a good time for them to be able to join us. We have several co-hosts from around the world, actually. That's very painful. Dan Waxman in Hawaii, that's a 5 a.m. per kilo of the conversation and a cup of coffee, which, by the way, I should have some. We had Trist and Ben out of England, challenging for them to be 6:30 in the evening and joining us. We had people that were in Malay and Australia that would love to join us, but it was ridiculous time that they were joining us. So we had lots of opportunities for other variations of people coming join us, but just they couldn't do it in a way that was consistent for their schedule. So because of that, we made the changes, and we hope that the changes are solid for everyone and that they appreciate it. We, again, appreciate everyone's feedback to it, and we hope that everyone continues to join us, continues to share with us their thoughts and their perspectives. And obviously, we're welcoming open participation for everyone to come join us on the show at any time that they can, and join the hosts that we will have in cycle representing the show as we do this. So with that, I thank everyone for their time, both historically over the 7 years and now. I hope that you continue to listen to us and watch us on the expanded TV channel as well, and enjoy the content that's being shared and you find it useful and valuable. You can always email me at lauren@hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com if you have any comments or questions. I receive and reply to every email that's sent to me for any of the podcasts and this live show, and also now as the TV channel begins to form, the TV channel itself as well. So with that, I thank everyone. I'm going to keep this at the half hour that I started with, really thinking that this was a chance to kind of inform everybody about the transition of the show and what's about to happen with it, and in the hopes that you all get to join us in the coming weeks as normal, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We will actually have potentially other shows, because we'll be doing some recorded conversations with people because of their time zone restrictions. And we'll start including them as additional shows that we'll be telling people about well in advance for them to make scheduled plans to watch them. And we'll monitor them live. So if there is questions that come through the chat while the show is playing, we will be able to answer them and also get the host to get back with you as well, should that not be available for them to listen to at that same time. So we'll do all of those things as well. So with that, I thank you always for the privilege of your time and look forward to talking to you all next week.